Glenn Clark Radio, talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no, stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Biggest thing I've seen probably from Zach and all the coaches and the players has been just steadiness. You know, I haven't seen a lot of changes. I've seen steady commitment and consistency of approach, hard work. You know, you identify issues and things that need to improve, and you try to work at them and have good drills and good meetings and good teaching sessions. And players, you know, really, I think as much as anything, it's just a two-way street. You know, it's a collaboration. You know, it's a partnership in the National Football League. Coaches, players, coaches, players. You know, that team thing is what really matters, and that's really what guys have been doing. So the results have been good, but we have a big challenge and a bunch of big challenges in front of us.
Players, coach, players, player, coach, player.
That was good stuff from him. What do you mean?
John Harbaugh on the Ravens. Not really changing all that much, he says, in improving defensively. Good morning. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. We have much to do on the program today. In a few minutes, we'll catch up with our buddy Jeffri Chadiha of NFL Network. He'll tell us what he's seen from Zach Orr in the Ravens' defensive turnaround. PressBox Ravens beat writer Bo Smolka joins us a little bit later. Joe Serpico previews Waiver-Wire Wednesday. I'll give my full breakdown of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony since John in Little Rock asked for it. So I'll make
So we got to do to get you to do stuff?
It's normally the way that it works. Yesterday you wanted me to do some segment. You were like, what about we could call it Pats on the Ass? I'm like, oh, all right. Well,
that was my idea. It was a good one, right?
I guess I'll give it a shot, right? See how that works out. But, yeah, all that coming up. Oh, I guess we'll do 5 plays today, too. All that coming up on a Tuesday edition of the program. Today's show is brought to you by Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills, Frederick, and Columbia. That's where I turned because I was feeling sluggish. I was feeling run down. I was just not feeling like myself. And it was weird because I'm like, I'm not 20, but I'm not 80. I'm not Forrester. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still young enough that when somebody my age is like the CEO of a company, they're like, look at how young they are.
Which is what you are, too.
But yeah, if we were a baseball player playing at this age, it's a miracle. A victory for science. So, yeah, I was just like, what the hell's going on? Could I be low T? I legitimately was like, I think I might be. So I went over. I got a free testosterone test from Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills. They're like, yeah, that's not it. I said, well, I guess I'm screwed. And they said, not at all. Not at all. Well, not in this case anyway. Maybe in other instances in your life. But they said, how about peptide proteins? I said, what now? What the who? And they said, yeah, peptide proteins. It's just proteins that'll help you wake up in the morning and not feel sore and not feel run down and sluggish all the time. And they have really been a game changer for me, truly. Cannot say enough about Game Day Men's Health. Really encourage you to give them a call. 443-264-4454 in Owings Mills. 443-266-3505 in Columbia. 240-931-3717 in Frederick. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Not just if you're feeling like you might be low T, but also if you're dealing with performance issues in the bedroom, if you're dealing with stubborn belly fat that just won't come off. GameDayMen'sHealth.com is the website. The notes of newsworthiness yesterday from John Harbaugh. On the injury front, Jay Higgins, the rookie undrafted linebacker, he's going to miss a few weeks. We will see if that means an IR stint for Jay Higgins as he's dealing with a knee injury. Also, Marlon Humphrey, as John Harbaugh explained, the finger issue that he played through and wore the cast for on Sunday potentially may need to have a procedure. And if he does, it could cost them a week or two, he said. Could cost Marlon Humphrey a week or two.
So in John Harbaugh speak, that could be the year.
I understand why you feel that way. The easy thing to say is, well, if it's going to cost you a week, maybe you pick Browns week. But I get it. You don't want to – you're not really supposed to say that out loud because then the Browns could, I don't know, be pissed off and –
Yeah, you want to pick Browns and Jets week? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, that might be the time. If you're gonna pick a time on the schedule and you're gonna miss a week or two, this might be the time. And then Rashad Bateman is dealing with an ankle sprain, and John Harbaugh said we'd learn more tomorrow. So there you go. That's what we learned injury-wise for the Ravens coming out of the Vikings game. Ravens started off the season miserably on the defensive side of the ball. First 5 games allowed 35.4 points per game. In their last 4, they've allowed just 14.5 points per game. Let's discuss that a little bit more. Joining us now, one of our favorites. Of course, you find him at NFL.com, the NFL Network. He is our friend, Jeffri Chadiha, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Jeff, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's always great to catch up. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure being on with you, man.
Jeff, how do you make sense of what the Ravens have done? And I know the comparison is, well, they did it last year, right? And the bigger frustration's got to be why it takes a few weeks for them to figure out how to do this defensively. But what do you make of what's happened and how legitimate it is, this defensive turnaround for the Ravens?
I think it's legitimate. I mean, part of it, I think earlier in the year you were dealing with obviously some injured players, and losing that at Bouquet is a big deal. It feels like Kyle Hamilton is the quick fix that always seems to work around there when things aren't going right, and so he seems to have a bigger impact. They've made some good trades. I liked Alohi Gilman with the Chargers. I think he helps that defense a lot, and you're playing obviously the better competition in terms of for what you want to do. I think when you're seeing the Rams and the Chiefs and some of those teams, the Lions earlier in the year, those are explosive offenses, and it's going to look bad. A lot of teams are going to have tough days against them. But I was feeling that if the Ravens could get to a place where they could start putting some wins together, they'd have a chance to get back into this playoff race. And it's funny because I feel like all my Ravens fans, I tell them, you guys still talking football? I thought season was over. A couple weeks ago. Now it's everything's feeling right again with the flock.
Well, we've always said everything in this city is dependent upon what happened in the most recent football game. That's the way that it works. That you don't need to bother to ask the question, how you guys doing, because the answer has everything to do with what the last thing it was that we saw from the football team. Jeff, I understand everything you're saying. Here's where I'm at, is it feels like the oversimplification of it is to say everything changed for the Ravens because Alohi Gilman was brought in, and bringing Alohi Gilman in allowed Kyle Hamilton to play in the box and up near the line of scrimmage. And as oversimplified as that is, it also kind of appears to be accurate. And yet, like, everybody makes the comparison to the Ravens and committing to Ardarius Washington last year, but the truth was they were really just playing Kyle Hamilton as a deep safety last year. Like, they weren't using him that way, and the defense turned around. This year, they decide to move him back to playing sort of in the box and as this, jack of all trades. I guess the question becomes, is Kyle Hamilton becoming like one of the most valuable players in the entire NFL, considering he just seems to be the answer to all of the Ravens' problems?
Yeah. Him and Joe Alt change everything,
right?
Depending on whether they're playing or not and where they're playing. No, I think he certainly has tremendous value, and you've seen that show up in the way that people have looked at him. I mean, one of the best safeties in the game for a reason. I feel like the way the Ravens play defense, it can be because they're so scheme oriented. Like you look at like someone like the Broncos, for example, where you got like Nick Bonito and Zach Allen and Patrick Surtain and Jonathan Cooper. You got all these guys who are just dogs, dudes who can get after it. I think the Ravens they rely on a lot of really complex schemes, and if one guy's not where he's supposed to be, if the communication's off, it can really throw things off. And so I think I think it's almost like fine tuning a symphony, like making sure that you got the right people in the right places, playing the right notes, so it all sounds right. And if one person's off key, it can really blow things up. And so I do feel like Kyle Hamilton is that piece they can move around and to make offset some things, because they're not just going to line up and blow you away with just all this crazy talent, especially with a guy like Matabuke being out. I mean, it's just how many different Edwards have they gone through since the Terrell Suggs days?
100%.
They're relying on a lot of scheme up front to make it happen, and if that's not happening, then the back end's going to look a lot worse. So I do think Gilman and Hamilton, those guys do matter a lot.
He is Jeff Chadiha, NFL Network, NFL.com. He's with us here on GCR. Jeff, I wonder what you make of – it's one thing to be performing well, and I don't want to take anything away from the Vikings, who, of course, just had beaten the Lions. And, and that Thursday night win the Ravens had over the Dolphins, it's easy to be dismissive of that. But, look at what the Dolphins did on either side of that game in blowout wins over the Falcons and then the Bills, which was really impressive. But I guess what I would say is it's one thing to be good defensively for this stretch of games. It's another thing for the idea of, hey, you get to the AFC playoffs, you're going to be facing Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Drake May, who's playing incredible football. Do you look at this defense and still buy it as being one that's capable of being a championship-level defense, or does that still need to be proven to you?
I think they can win a championship with that defense. I don't believe it's going to lead you to a championship. You look at the moves they've made, financially over the last few years and then roster-wise, they've certainly become more of an offensive team. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, Derrick Henry being there, Zay Flowers, obviously the big contract for Lamar Jackson, that more of their resources are devoted towards making that offense work. So what I think has to happen for them to be really successful in the playoffs, offense got to play better.
Mm-hmm.
They have to put that defense into position. We're not asking them to do all these crazy things to win games anymore, because they're not built that way. They're not going to shut people down and keep them to like 10 points or whatever. I look at their biggest losses over the last couple of years, and I'll include that Buffalo game as being part of that. It's really been the offense has struggled. And when the offense has struggled, everything's fallen apart. And it's really been 2 or 3 plays that have blown it open for the other team. And so I would say that, it's on Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and these guys not to fumble the ball, not to drop big passes, not to throw interceptions, and make it easier on the defense.
But it's good enough, and I think that's saying something, right? Because I think we would have all said a couple weeks ago it was not good enough that you could win a championship with it. So that goes a long way. I just want more on the Ravens, because you brought up the division before too, right? Like, are we being too presumptuous the way that we're almost all dismissing? Like, it feels like at this point, I mean, even when the Ravens were 1-5, there were still places where they were the favorites to win the AFC North, which is really bonkers. But now it's almost like we're utterly dismissing the rest of the division. The Ravens are 4-5, and I think most places have them as something like a 2-1 favorite now to win the division. Are we being too dismissive, or are we being appropriately dismissive of the Steelers and Bengals when we kind of start anointing the Ravens now at 4-5 as likely to be the division champs?
No, we're being appropriate.
Yeah.
I feel like the Ravens had a great weekend, first winning their game and then watching the Steelers play the Chargers in one of the more in-depth performances I've seen in a primetime game, and that's including I was at Denver and the Raiders on Thursday night and watched last night's game. But I feel as if, look, this you'll appreciate this. This season overall reminds me a lot of 2000 when the Ravens won the championship. And there were a lot of teams that were just not dominant, but okay. And you ended up having the Ravens playing the Giants in the Super Bowl that
Right.
year.
Right. We
so
all
I
thought
remember
we thought the Vikings
Yeah.
were going to be the world beaters that year, right? With Randy Moss, like we were enamored with what the Vikings were doing offensively, and the Titans were probably the most complete team in the AFC that year.
Yeah, and Jacksonville was good, and there were
Mhm.
some other teams that were, I think the Colts may have been coming back from that first tough year. They had a decent season, and so there were teams, but you weren't in love with anybody. And so I think
Mhm.
that's what helps the Ravens this year immensely is that there is no great team, and every week it's week to week with all these teams. One week a team can look great, the next week they can look awful. I watched Buffalo dominate Chiefs 2 weeks ago, and they look like world beaters. And then they go to Miami and lay a huge egg, and now people in Tennessee are going, how'd they lose to a team like that?
Right.
And what does that say about the Chiefs if they lost to a team like that? And so, yeah, for the Ravens to be able to stick around, look, they've got some good fortune here with the timing of it, with the way teams are playing, injuries, they're getting healthier. I think all that matters. So, yeah, I think that Steelers, the Bengals, obviously the Browns are out of it. I think there's no team better than the Ravens right now, even when they're still under 500.
By the way, what's with you just chasing bad football right now, Jeff? Like, my God.
Long weekend.
Chasing some awful football. You bring up what happened last night. I Jeff, I do everything in my power to not be a full conspiracy theorist, right? Like, I do everything in my power to not traipse into it because I do often think that, like, we're ridiculous. But how do we make sense of the NFL saying a month ago, we are going to watch the tush-push more closely, we are going to adjudicate it more closely, and the results being the exact opposite of that? That the Eagles in particular are just more and more egregiously offsides. Like, the thing last night was embarrassing how far offsides they were, and the officiating doing nothing about it. And how does it leave me thinking anything other than, like, whoever it is just decided we want the play gone, and so we're not even going to attempt to adjudicate it fairly. We want to use the offsides failures as the excuse that everyone has to go vote for banning the tush push this offseason.
Well, one, even when they made that push to be harsher on it, I still felt like that was just folly because it's a really hard play to officiate because you can't get the angles unless the official's going to stand right there, right next to the line of scrimmage, right next to the players on the line of scrimmage.
And maybe they should.
You can't see it.
Maybe.
Maybe they should.
Yeah.
Get in there real tight. And just
Right.
yeah, but it's almost impossible to see down there because all those big bodies, and part of this too, there's a little bit of an NBA vibe to it where we've allowed, offensive linemen with this kick step when pass protection to get these kind of jumps. I think officials are a lot more lenient on this stuff in terms of, because really it's a huge call if you call a false start in a situation because you basically just kill any advantage the Eagles have. And so you don't want to be that far in the other way as far as penalizing them for that. So I do think it's a really hard thing to figure out. And I think it has to be figured out at the owners' meetings. They can't do it in the middle of the season because it's just
Right, yeah,
too tough on the officials.
you're not going to. Well, and I think is the argument, because I am of the opinion that there's enough momentum it's going to get banned this offseason. But isn't the correct argument to say, hey, maybe we make offensive offsides something that we can review? Like, I watched this thing where Roquan Smith appeared to have an interception on Sunday, and I'm still not sure that he didn't have an interception on Sunday, but they overturned it in an instant. Shouldn't that be something that now that we have the ability to get replay assists that they can look at quickly and say, yeah, we screwed up there. That play should never happen.
Yeah, you should, but now you're getting down this rabbit hole of, opening the door for all kinds of things being reviewed and, the game taking forever. I don't know if the NFL wants to be in that place. It's still a 3-hour show and they want it to be as smooth as possible. I think it's hard to make it happen. I understand what you're saying, but you open that door up and then everything's in play.
Jeff, I'm in a weird place because I know what you're saying at the same time. This is like college football games take 4.5 hours now, and they're all still incredibly highly rated, though. Like, there's a part of me that just says, like, we only get one football game a week for our favorite team. We only get so many. I'm not turning it off Like, you're getting to the – that argument is always – and I'm not saying it's yours. I'm just saying in general for me, it's like you're telling me that in the fourth quarter of a close NFL game, I'm going to say, sorry, it hit 330. I just have other things to do, man. Like,
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm just saying that the corporate big shots that make those calls are a lot more sensitive to it. But look, I get it. I think the best way to operate is always to say, I would say you give every coach 3 challenges. You can challenge whatever you want to challenge, and then you're done. And so let's not make it. And replay assist, even to me, is becoming this kind of nebulous, weird space where some things are getting turned over quickly and some things don't get turned over at all.
Yeah, it is weird.
There was a play in that Buffalo game with Patrick Mahomes to a pass, and they called intentional grounding, and the ball was tipped. And they were like, well, why can't you look at that? Well, no one thought about that when they made the rule.
That's the reality. That's the reality. Jeff, where are you headed next?
I will be going to Denver for the Chiefs-Broncos game. Huge AFC West matchup. Yeah. Who knew this could be the year where the Chiefs' 9-year win streak in the AFC West goes to – you don't think so? You sound dubious.
No, I mean, it could, but you want me to buy into the Broncos after I had to watch that game last Thursday night and a team that – like, if you pick their 4 best quarters of the season, you'd say they're the best team in the NFL. But then if you looked at all of the other quarters, you'd say, how is this team good?
Yeah.
Other than they do record sacks. I'm still
a lot of those.
I'm still skeptical. At Jeffri Chadiha, that's JEFFRI CHADIAHA is how you follow him. And, of course, always at NFL.com. Jeff, always appreciate you, brother. You're the best. Thanks for doing this, man.
Come here, man. Take care.
Jeffri Chadiha with us here on GCR. I mean, if you didn't see the thing from last night, I know that all of the tush pushes that the Eagles run anymore are all offsides, but, like, this one was, like, laughable. Laughable how far offsides they were in what was an otherwise unwatchable football game. Just a mess of a football game. Ultimately, the Eagles win 10-7 because the Packers missed a 64-yard field goal attempt at the end of the game, which, like, really, I don't know what the better decision is. Is it a better idea to try a 64-yard field goal or to toss a Hail Mary? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it was just,
I can understand why you'd say, like, let's at least give it a shot, right? Like, a 64-yard field goal is probably a
Were you mad at the Eagles for going for it?
Yeah, a lot of hullabaloo.
I don't think I was. Yeah, I mean,
it's sort of what we were talking about with the Ravens yesterday, where.
You want to watch this or not?
Oh yeah, here's the tush push. This is from ESPN last night. Yeah. I mean, what are you talking? Everyone moved.
Oh, the guard did. Yeah.
No, what?
Okay, then the right guard.
Yeah.
And then the ball was snapped.
Everyone moved. It's insane. Like, it's egregious how offsides they are. So, yeah, I'm donning the full conspiracy theory, which is that the league said they were going to be focused on this, and they're not actually focused on it because they don't want it to be fixed, because the more we get pissed off about the tush push, the more likely it is they're going to get it banned. And that's what they want in the end. I've gone full conspiracy theorist on this. They're turning the frogs gay. They're turning the frogs gay. I've flipped on this. They want it gone. Yeah, and the Eagles going for it on 4th and 6. I do get it. I do. It's a 54-yard field goal, as he said, into the wind. You're not feeling great about it. Your punt, let's say you try to take a penalty to punt. You're still punting from your 30 or no, from your 40, what would that be, 41-yard line? 41-yard line, I think. Yeah. So, like, you better be feeling very precise about your punt.
Which punter was it? Was it the Eagles? Yeah, it was the Eagles punter who kept shanking them as well, wasn't it? Yeah.
So, like, now you're thinking, okay, instead of dealing with any of that, we just go convert this play and the game's over. I get where he's coming from. I do. So, it's a tough call, but I understand it. I don't think I think a lot of people are like, this is insane. Troy Aikman was killing him.
Yeah, Troy Aikman couldn't believe it.
But it's like how I felt about the Ravens thing. I think, like, the result is what you're freaking out about. The thought process is very understandable and maybe even appropriate. Grab a break. When we come back in, Bo Smolka, PressBox Ravens beat writer, will join us, share his thoughts on where the Ravens are sitting at 4-5. That's next on Glenn Clark Radio.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack. Costas is your place to go. Check out the website, costasin.com, for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now. On the cover, Don Marcus profiles new Maryland Athletic Director Jim Smith, breaking down the challenge he faces in his new role and the unique background he brings to the job. Also inside, Brandon Schwartzberg takes an in-depth look at Orioles outfielder Dylan Beavers. And we meet college basketball players from all the programs around the state before the season gets underway. PressBox is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region. And starting this month, you can find us at Baltimore area High's Dairy Store locations. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Get ready to hit the ultimate holiday jackpot at Live Casino during the live action $1 million giveaway. Every Friday through December 26th, we'll drop 25 lucky cash winners, but only one winner each Friday will advance to the final rounds on December 26th, where you could win $1 million in just 3 spins. Come make your million, only at Live Casino. At Erndale Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Tuesday edition of the program. Today's show is also brought to you by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone is the website, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Of course, we are already handing out some championships in fall sports season at the high school level. Find out all of the updates, the scores, the schedules. You can see, like, this weekend was the MIAA Soccer Championships. If you missed any of it, find out who won by going to CountySports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Here, I thought this was a very good question and got a good answer from Bo Smolka yesterday during John Harbaugh's weekly press conference.
There was a report that Rashad Bateman left in a boot, and do you have an update on him? As you watch it again, did you think that was a hip drop tackle on him down at the goal line?
What is a hip drop tackle? It's an enigma, apparently, that can't be called during the game. It looked like a hip drop tackle. I think so, yeah, based on the definition. Am I going to get in trouble for saying that? I hope not.
Do you have an update on Rashad?
I think he's going to be okay. Yeah, he's got an ankle sprain. We'll see how serious it is.
That's John Harbaugh yesterday. Joining us now, PressBox Ravens beat writer Bo Smolka. Bo, good morning. And, yeah, it seems like, Rashad Bateman, I know that John ultimately said we'll see because he doesn't want to give anything away. I understand his frustration about it. I would admit that, like, unlike the offsides thing on the tush push where it's insane to me that the officials can't get it right, I even struggle watching these to figure out what's a hip drop and what isn't. I get the frustration, but I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit defensive of the officials here. Where I do think this is very difficult in watching in live play.
Well, hey, Glenn. Well, it's interesting because I've spent the morning kind of looking at this a little bit. I was going to write about it for PressBox in the morning. And it turns out that now I don't have this week's data because they haven't been released yet, but there have been 16 players fined for hip drop tackles, and there have been 0 flags thrown for hip drop tackles. And I know that a year ago every year we have before the season, a referee comes in and discusses officiating with the media of each team, and they kind of talk about points of emphasis and so forth. And I remember when the hip drop tackle was made illegal. I forget who the official that came in that year was, but he basically acknowledged. He said that, look, this is going to be really hard for us to call on the field. It's really hard. Now, the other argument you can make is, well, should that be something that is, eye in the sky can assist with, but replay assist, but they don't want penalties. And so it's really tough. I mean, so it's not, frankly, you're just never going to get the flag. You're just not. And how they can fix that, I don't know the answer to it. Obviously the league thought at least by fining people that might be a dissuasion, but guys are going to tackle, and if it's going to be called later, but it's definitely a point of frustration for a lot of people. And, Harbaugh clearly was frustrated yesterday because, again, if your guy gets hurt, that's a problem.
100%. It's a major problem. There's no doubt about it. Speaking of hurt, so Marlon Humphrey played through the finger issue that he was dealing with on Sunday. Had an interception, albeit on a play where he could have called for a fair catch before he made it. It's a weird thing where, John Harbaugh saying it the way that he said yesterday. I hate to be the guy who's like, there's a procedure that might cost him a week or two, and these are the Browns and Jets weeks, huh? There's this part of me that almost feels like, well, maybe you just go ahead and get it done right now, because the last thing we want is for that to be something that you're dealing with at another portion of the schedule.
Yeah, and I don't know. And John was kind of non-committal about what would happen with that. But I think there's a decent chance something gets done. The fact that he wasn't really describing about what exactly the issue is, but if it is a procedure that has to get done, he got the sense that it would just be a couple weeks. And, I mean, you're right in the sense that, well, look, you got the Browns and the Jets. If you're going to miss a guy, this might be the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that, but I also will say this. Cleveland has been a house of horrors.
100%. 100%.
And don't they look at last year. Kyle Hamilton has the game in his hands, and it doinks off his hands. An absolute gimme interception, and Jameis Winston throws the game-winning touchdown. So this idea that they're just going to walk in and win in Cleveland, I don't accept. And so, I don't know. We'll see what Marlon Humphrey – sounds like it's going to be up to Marlon Humphrey what he chooses to do, and we'll know more probably later in the week.
Agree strongly with what you're saying about a trip to Cleveland. You can't think of it that way. I still feel like if you had to pick a week, I still feel like this is the week that you pick. Bo Smolka with us here on GCR. Bo, the Ravens finished with 12 quarterback hits. They had 13 passes defended, including a number that were batted at the line of scrimmage. What do you make about the arrival of Draymond Jones, the impact that he had in week 1, and now what the edge rush is, with this perhaps being the unit moving forward?
Well, I think I think he's certainly an improvement. He played, I think, 30 snaps or so, and he was I forget what his total numbers were, but I thought he had an impact. They got across the board. I thought the pressure was good. They got McCarthy into some tough spots, which is what they wanted. He forced some throws that a young quarterback's normally going to ultimately do. But what it means going forward is, he's going to be in the rotation a lot. And I think it's probably going to be less for David Ajabo. It's probably going to be less for Kyle Van Noy, which isn't a bad thing at his age. He's still going to be asked to produce. But ultimately, it's going to be an upgrade to the defense, and they can slide him inside at times if they want. So, it's definitely an improvement.
I think the crazy part is there's still a chance that Tavius Robinson could return, right?
That's the thought, yeah. I mean, he's designated to return. They thought 2 months. John Harbaugh related it more like or similar, I should say, to an Isaiah Likely injury early in the summer. He was out, I think, 8 weeks. So if you do the math on that, yeah, I think they're hoping Robinson will be back for the last few weeks of the season.
I don't want to be quick to suggest that at some point we could say that this is a strength of the team, because I still think that has to be proven. But, maybe there really is a chance that by the time we get to that point, we're saying, look how dramatically. It's still infuriating, Bo, that like they do go through this at the beginning of the season, but it really is kind of hard to ignore the progress that has been made.
No, look, they were 1-5, and now they're 4-5. They've made progress on a lot of fronts, and one of them, frankly, is people are back on the field.
Right.
I go back to that the game against Houston when they started 5 rookies, and Reuben Lowry was starting at safety and played every snap, and none of that game is what they thought they would look like. And they're better. It's definitely better. They've made two significant acquisitions to try to make them better on defense, because the Alohi Gilman trade allows them to move Kyle Hamilton, and we saw how Kyle Hamilton, it's just a different team on defense when Hamilton's near the line of scrimmage. It just is. And I know Hamilton will say, well, I'll play wherever they want me to play, and he will, and they'd be better with him wherever he plays. Mm-hmm. But they're a better team with him near the line of scrimmage, so that was one move, and then they obviously traded for Jones, and that makes them better in the pass rush. And so both of those moves helped. Of course, Roquan Smith getting back on the field helped. Lamar Jackson getting back on the field, giving your offense more sustained drives and more points also helps. It's all connected.
Bo, on the other side of the ball, it's weird that maybe the concerns are on the offensive side. It's just weird. 2 for 5 in the red zone. I get that not every game is going to be perfect. It just sort of feels like the 2 for 5 in the red zone is very much connected to the continued discussion that we've been having about the offensive line, and particularly the guard position. And I get it. When they committed to the run in the second half, it was much better. They were playing more bully ball, but am I crazy to think that like these are continued problems that could ultimately be dooming for this team? Is there any chance that Emory Jones is a factor at some point? Like, what do you make of all of that?
I do think there's a chance Emory Jones is a factor at some point. I just think he was so far behind. He didn't do a thing until, nothing in OTAs, nothing in summer, nothing in training camp, no preseason games, nothing the first part of the season. He's just well behind. I think there's this chance for him. The other thing I make of it is simply that, they're just, they're not strong between the tackles, and it's a consistent problem. And why they're not strong between the tackles is something they have to address and think about. Is it simply as simple as the guards aren't good? I don't know the answer, because they clearly don't feel they have anyone better at guard than they have out there right now. Until possibly Jones is healthy enough or up to speed, I should say. But they're not successful running between the tackles. They just aren't. And as we saw in the game the other day, it seemed like Todd Monken kind of acknowledged that with these little creative plays he drew up to get to the edge. One was they faked the tush push, and Mark Andrews did a little toss sweep to Lamar Jackson, which I thought was kind of a clever play. There's actually a little bit of a high throw, and Jackson made a heck of a play to grab it. And then the other one was this kind of sweep with Lamar Jackson getting to the outside. Both those plays seem to tell me whatever we're trying here isn't working between the tackles. It's another reason why I think they should be giving more looks to Keaton Mitchell because he can get to the edge. But I think this offensive line, it is what it is, and they're getting beaten, especially between the tackles. But they didn't make a trade at the deadline, right. So this is who they are, and this is what they'll be. But through 9 weeks, I think we can make some conclusions here, and they're not a good running team between the tackles this year.
Bo, to you, is one of the guards more of an issue than the other is?
I haven't studied the offensive lineman enough, so I know Falafale is getting picked on a ton, and I don't think he's been very good. I can't tell you Andrew Voorhees has been notably better without really breaking down film to look at them. But I do know when it's 3rd and 2 and you're running Derrick Henry, he should be able to get 2 yards, and he's not. And that tells me those guys inside are just getting flat out beaten at the point of attack. And it's happened all year.
I guess the other question is, too, when we talk about Emory Jones, this is a tackle that we're talking about. He's never played in the NFL. Is it fair to think that he could be the answer as a guard, as a rookie, playing in his first taste of the NFL.
Well, that's a good point too, right? And I think there's fans often have this kind of savior complex, right? We're going to make a change, and the new guy's just going to make us so much better.
Right.
And there's no guarantee of that. There's no guarantee of that at a lot of positions with players. And Emory Jones, I think it's a fair question to say, wait, what makes us sure that Emory Jones is going to suddenly come in with zero experience at guard and be an upgrade over guys that have played all year? But I think the belief is, if it's not working, what's the harm in trying something else, right? I think that's the overwhelming kind of sense that people have. Well, this isn't working, so at the very least, let's try something else and see if that can work. And if that doesn't work, okay, that didn't work either. But, there's sense that let's just try something and see if it can get working better.
But what else are you monitoring this week as the Ravens get ready for the Browns?
Well, we'll be definitely monitoring. I think it's worth monitoring Rashad Bateman to see if he's out there. John Harbaugh was kind of non-committal yesterday, and whether Bateman can play or not. And obviously, we'll be checking to see if Marlon Humphrey is out there or if he decides to have this procedure that would knock him out a couple weeks. They came out of going into last week, I should say, with a completely clean injury report, which I can't remember that happening, honestly.
Oh, it's insane, right?
Where they released their injury report on Wednesday and Thursday and said, we have nothing to report. Everyone is full. In week 9 of the season, that's incredible, but it's not going to happen this week. So we'll check mainly on Bateman and Humphrey will be the two we'll be looking to see whether they're out there. And the other thing is I kind of was surprised that Carl Lawson was not upgraded from the practice squad this week. I thought we would see him. Now, we won't – nothing will change with that through the week, but I'm curious to see if they roll him out there Sunday.
He is Bo Smolka, PressBox Ravens beat writer. You follow him at BSmolka. You check out his stuff, PressBoxOnline.com. Bo, always appreciate you, brother. Thanks for taking the time for us. Let's talk again next Tuesday, all right?
All right, thanks, Glenn. Take care.
It's Bo Smolka, PressBox Ravens beat writer, with us here on GCR. Been through it. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm probably in the camp of people that Bo Smolka was talking about. Like that it's just, let's see something else. Let's see it. So what happened?
Me?
No, like Nico Harrison. What?
I don't know. I've been trying to. I'm trying to focus on the show, obviously.
Well, yeah, thank you. I know.
But I've also it doesn't make. I can't act like I've been paying attention to the NBA season, but this doesn't make any sense.
Well, no. It doesn't make sense now.
No, you're right.
Like now. Yeah, the Mavericks are firing Nico Harrison, of course, was wildly under fire last year for what we all thought was
a genius trade. And,
right, just brilliant. And brilliant. Look at this guy. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a wild. I mean, there's butterfly effect in there. Like, do they end up with Cooper Flag? I don't know, man. But like, wow. Go down as an all-timer. But yeah, Nico Harrison being fired by the Dallas Mavericks after
I'm trying to figure out
holding on to him after the trade. They were fine with it until now. Weird. Around the division, some news yesterday. Of course, Joe Burrow back at practice. He's talking up the possibility of it being the Thanksgiving night game in Baltimore. That would be within the first 21 days. So you have 21 days, then you have to activate someone. You can activate them before 21 days. So if he's ready before 21 days, then he could play in the Thanksgiving night game. It seems like around the league there's maybe some thought that, like, perhaps that's too much. I just saw something. Hang on a second. Adam Schefter just tweeted. And it was like a link to a podcast.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, potential. I mean,
but I don't know who's saying this.
You want to sit here and watch this?
No, I don't know. I guess, but who is this? Dan Stanzik is his guest.
Author, producer, Syracuse native.
So like, but what?
Fairfield alum.
What am I missing here? You want to play the clip?
We want to sit here for 2 minutes. All right.
I don't really, but like, I do kind of want to know what he's saying. I don't know if we're allowed to play 2 minutes of a clip. Damn it. Or maybe does he say it in the I don't know. this is Adam Schefter talking to whoever Dan Stanzik is, who might be the nicest guy on the face of the planet. Followed by a lot of people that I follow, so maybe he's valuable. I just don't know what he does.
You know him, actually.
Do I?
Yeah.
It turns out.
Burrow officially returned to practice Monday at limited capacity as he tries to get back from his 21-day window off of injured reserve. Burrow suffered a turf toe injury week 2 in a win against the Jaguars. Since he has lost 5 of the 6 games he has missed, what can you tell us about his impending return?
Okay, well, Joe Burrow has got to get back to practice here and see how his foot is feeling during practice, eluding rushers, how it feels simulating game conditions, and, just as important, he has to feel how his foot is feeling after he gets done. How sore is it? Can he work through it? He's already done an incredible job to get to this point. By the way, I would have thought it was more likely than not that he wouldn't have played this year, because I would have thought that their record was such that it wouldn't be worth bringing him back. It wouldn't make sense to bring him back. But that division has basically been flat. Nobody's pulled away. And now it looks like he is going to play again. Now, again, I think he'd like to target that Thanksgiving night game, which is at Baltimore, to come back.
It's a big one.
I personally think the more realistic target is the next week at Buffalo.
Okay. So that's the part that I was. Apparently, Dan Stanzik is just part of the podcast network at ESPN. He's just a podcast producer, so he's doing the podcast with Shefty. So there you go. That's what it doesn't feel like Adam Schefter just says something like that unless there's a reason that he says something like that. Like, for Adam Schefter to say, well, Joe Burrow's talking about Thanksgiving night, but I know more about Joe Burrow than Joe Burrow does. It feels like that comes from somewhere. But we'll see. I mean, either storyline is very intriguing, obviously. Either it's Joe Flacco in Baltimore on Thanksgiving night for a primetime game, or it's the return of Joe Burrow on Thanksgiving night for a primetime game. Either scenario is appealing, and neither one of them changes the fact that, Joe Burrow doesn't play defense. And so the Bengals don't have a scoring points problem. I don't really know how much better they can be offensively, frankly. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't want Joe Burrow back. I get it. He's still a, top-tier talent. It's one thing if we're talking about a Bengals team that have been scoring 20 points a game. They haven't been. They've been scoring points. They can't stop anybody, so that's what makes it very difficult. Yeah, this was Joe Burrow's back and forth. I did see this. Him being asked about the potential to play on Thanksgiving and, being very coy, gamey with his responses.
Would it be to, given your history in Baltimore, being a division game, to come back for that game?
Very.
Is that your target?
We'll see. We'll see how these next couple weeks go.
Look at you silly little goose. This silly little goose, Joe Burrow. We'll see. I don't know.
That's your Joe Burrow?
Have a treat. It's just such a weird response. Today's show also brought to you by, this one will be brought to you by the print issue of PressBox, which is available for free at your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Great cover story from Don Marcus about new Maryland Athletic Director Jim Smith. Lots of college hoops inside this print issue of PressBox. Go get it for free now. We'll come back in, preview Waiver-Wire Wednesday. Could Calvert Hall's own Sean Tucker save your fantasy football season?
Yes.
We'll ask Joe Serpico next.
It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Get ready to hit the ultimate holiday jackpot at Live Casino during the live-action $1 million giveaway. Every Friday through December 26th, we'll draw 25 lucky cash winners. But only one winner each Friday will advance to the final rounds on December 26th, where you could win $1 million in just 3 spins. Come make your million, only at Live Casino. At Earndown Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack. Costas is your place to go. Check out the website CostasInn.com for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Looking for Baltimore's premier waterfront dining experience? Head to Nick's Fish House, located in the Baltimore Peninsula. Enjoy crabs all year long, plus happy hour Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6. Planning a celebration? From rehearsal dinners to corporate crab feasts, Nick's is the spot to make it unforgettable. And the fun doesn't stop there. Live music fills the air every Thursday through Sunday. Check out the full lineup at nicksfishhouse.com. Nick's, it's where Baltimore comes to eat, drink, and play by the water.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Tuesday edition of the program. Stan the Fan Charles getting together this week with New Maryland Athletic Director Jim Smith. You'll be seeing it, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan's shows are brought to you by the Costas Inn and the all-new Costas Inn, now open in Timonium at the Grandstand. If it's a Tuesday, that means it's time for us to preview Waiver-Wire Wednesday in your fantasy football league. He is PressBox's fantasy football analyst. He's Joe Serpico, and he's with us now here on GCR. Joe, good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, trying not to get blown away out here. I can't believe it's damn cold already.
Very, very cold.
We saw him Green Bay last night. I guess made its way over here.
Yeah, you know what's really crazy, Joe? I don't know if you get as much of a kick out of this as I do. My favorite day of the year is the first day we start seeing things about iguanas falling from the sky in Florida. I don't know why. It is. I love this phenomenon so much that today it's so cold in Florida, it's sub 40 degrees, and at 40 degrees, iguanas are stunned into a state where they are basically frozen. They're not dead. They're just cold stunned. And they start falling out of trees. And every local news person in Florida has to go do reports on the first cold day of the year in Florida about the iguanas falling out of the trees. And there is nothing that I don't know why. I'm a psychopath, perhaps. Maybe I need to see a therapist. I don't know what it is, but I take so much joy in watching the news stories about the iguanas in the trees for some reason.
Well, if it was up to me, I would just be frozen and not have to do anything today as well, and not be outside. Nice. That is one of those funny things that I know people down that way, and I have already seen videos of that happening as well.
It is wild to me. Speaking of Florida, a name that was not on your list this week that is interesting to me is a Calvert Hall alum. Should I be throwing some money at Sean Tucker this week on the waiver wire?
Yeah, I heard you mention his name before I came on here. He maybe had the better game this past week, but the usage still doesn't make me think that I want to go out of my way to get Sean Tucker. White still played 70% of the snaps this past week. Yeah, Tucker was a little bit better with his touches, but at the same time, we still haven't seen where you want to say a true takeover. And then, I mean, the biggest, fantasy unknown of all is what is going on with Bucky Irving. Is he ever going to come back? We've been saying for weeks now, all right, this is the week, this is the week, this is the week. So if you need a bye week fill-in, which let's face it, there's only 2 teams on a bye this week. If you have, let's say Jonathan Taylor, I don't know if I'm going out of my way to get Sean Tucker to make it my guy. To be honest, I'm probably more leaning towards White, if any of the two, just because the usage still happens to be in his favor.
All right, let me I need desperate wide receiver help, desperate wide receiver help. I am in hell in one particular league where I tried rolling the dice on Jacoby Myers last week after the trade and don't have anything to show for it. I've got Terry McLaurin hurt. I've got Olave on a bye. I'm literally at a point where I'm probably gonna have to play Calvin Ridley if he plays. I'm desperate. How do I possibly find any sort of wide receiver help?
Well, the main one that I'm putting out there for this week, if he's still available, is Alec Pierce. He's available in over 50% of Yahoo leagues, over 60% of ESPN leagues. Couldn't believe it when I saw this. I was like, why is he still wide?
I'm still convinced these are these weirdo leagues where they do the draft and then they don't have a season afterwards. I don't know what league this is.
I've been doing so. It's crazy because when you look at the numbers of, let's say, a Josh Downs, he's somehow taken in 70% of leagues. And then for some reason, Alec Pierce is still available in another 20% more. And let's face it, Pierce has been the better player the past couple of weeks. He's got 7 targets last week. He's got 20 over the past 2 games. Pittman and Downs had 2 each last week. He's the big play threat that Daniel Jones keeps to be looking for. We've always he kind of reminds me of the modern day, let's say, Deshaun Jackson. He's always good for one of those big plays, and not always finds the end zone, but he's going to get plays down the field. So he's somebody who is that ultimate boomer bust player. Now, the past couple of weeks, he hasn't really truly busted. But, as long as he's getting these consistent targets and they're always downfield, he is the leader in receiving yards per reception, I should say. So if he's available, he's the guy you absolutely want to target. And like I was kind of saying, I'm a little bit confused as to why he is so underutilized, and then Downs is way more fantasy owned. So even if you have, let's say, Josh Downs, make that flip right away now. Get yourself Alec Pierce over Josh Downs.
All right, so I'm not in one of these magical leagues, so I want you to do me a favor and rank the receivers on the top of the waiver wire plus the 2 that I already have on my roster and tell me what order you'd have this group in, all right? I'm going to give you here are the 5 at the top of the waiver wire. Ready?
Go ahead.
Parker Washington, Tez Johnson, Malik Washington, Keyshawn Boutte, Keon Coleman. And then the 2 that right now I would have to play would be Calvin Ridley if he plays and Jacoby Myers.
Jesus, your options are kind of
Thank
limited
you.
there.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate it. Dynamite.
The one I would say of all of them there that I feel the most confident about, to be honest, is probably Parker Washington. But that's all dependent on what's going on with Brian. If Brian Thomas is out this week, then Parker Washington is the guy. So I think it's going to take another week or so before Myers gets acclimated to being in that role. Ridley is the one that's kind of sticking out because when Ridley is on the field, he does get heavily targeted. But then again, we have no idea what that's going to be like this week. And then they're also playing against the Texans, so that's really not a matchup that I'm really too happy about. So Boutte's banged up. Coleman did have a big play this week. I mean, the one, honestly, it might be Tez Johnson just because he's got a TD in 3 of his last 4 games. As long as Godwin and Evans are still out of the lineup, he is the de facto number 2. Baker is looking his way in the red zone as well. So, but yeah, these are all guys where you're truly, I mean, you're at the bottom right there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
They're all the same guy to me, to be brutally honest with you. At least Coleman is a potential number 1 on his team, but I've
played that. I've played that game too many times.
And that's what it is. Coleman's like one of those guys we keep waiting for that, for that bust out game, and it just hasn't happened yet. So if you're going to take 2 guys that have been more consistent than everybody else, I would probably say Parker Washington and Tez Johnson. But I feel sorry for you if those are the 2 guys you got to roll with this week.
Why don't you say it again?
They're not the best option.
Why don't you keep twisting that knife, Joe Serpico? Why don't you? I'm 7-3 in that league somehow. So you better calm down over there. Joe Serpico with us as we preview Waiver-Wire Wednesday. Joe, where are we at with the Cardinals' backfield?
Give up on it. I did this past week, and I just decided to get rid of Bam Knight. Now, I think if there's anybody to own right now, it's Amari DiMarcado. He's become the guy again after fumbling away the opportunity a couple of weeks ago. But then it's been pretty much a 50-50 split between him and Bam Knight. So, again, if you're truly desperate and you need to rock one of those guys, I totally understand why. I'm leaning towards DiMarcado if you do need to do it. But as soon as Trey Benson's back, they're probably both off of my team and hoping that Benson just goes right back in to be a 3-down back. But with this week's matchup is a tough one as well. So I'm trying to steer clear of that Cardinals situation when it comes to the running backs. Now, if you're talking about the pass catchers, that's a whole other beast.
What about the Commanders' backfield?
And because I have Bill. I'm afraid to drop him because I'm worried as soon as I drop him, he's going to have that game that we've been waiting for all year. Mm-hmm. But, yes, we're seeing a lot more Chris Rodriguez as of late. Now, he got banged up this week. It'll be interesting to see how that if he misses this week, well, does that mean we finally get the Bill that we've been waiting for? I don't know. We've also seen Jeremy McNichols being worked in there with them, too. So that is a true three-headed monster again. I'm really not trying to rely on any of those guys right now, but it's hard to drop Bill because we have expected him to be something way more than he has been. But not trying to start any of those guys if possible.
And the Bears' backfield.
Polar opposite, to be honest. I feel like you can start both of those guys and get away with it. Now, Swift is a must start for you. Manon guy's more of a flex play, but both of those guys, they look like they're slowly turning into what we saw when Ben Johnson was with Detroit with the Thunder and Lightning comedy, or what you want to call it, Sonic and Knuckles that they had over there. So both of those guys I'm willing to put into my lineups just because I think both are going to get enough usage that it's the way Swift catches passes, and then Manon guy is more of your thumper at the goal line, but even Swift is still getting looks at the goal line as well. So, yeah, that's one of the rare situations where you can start both running backs and feel confident about it. So, yeah, it's the opposite of the other two that we just talked about.
All right, so staying on running back then, really deep. So deep league, I got room to stash another, I kind of have room to stash another running back. I wanna roster Keaton Mitchell just because I'm a Ravens fan and he's running well, so I want to roster him, but I'd have to drop either Brashard Smith or Ollie Gordon. And I have Achane, so I like having Gordon as the handcuff there. But if I want to, who would you roster between Gordon, Brashard Smith, and Keaton Mitchell?
To be honest, I think Keaton Mitchell is the last of the three. Until he starts getting more looks with the Ravens offense, I can't trust him.
I mean, John Harbaugh did say he wants them to give him more looks, so there is that.
Well, he can keep saying things, but until we see it, it's a whole other beast.
Yeah.
So if we keep saying the same about a lot of guys around the league, so that's until we see it, I'm not even thinking about rostering Keaton Mitchell. We've talked about Brashard Smith a couple of times. At some point, they just got to – I mean, I guess maybe it's the same situation as Keaton Mitchell, to be brutally honest with you. But at some point, you could tell he's the most electric running back they have, so they should be getting him the ball more often. And, yeah, when you mentioned that you have Achane, you've got to keep Ollie Gordon just because, God forbid, anything were to happen to him. And then even Gordon
even with Jalen Wright, didn't Jalen Wright end up out – he got more carries than Gordon this weekend, didn't he?
I think that was more because of Gordon came in this game a little bit banged up. Let's face it, Jalen Wright has been a healthy scratch for a good chunk of the season. So if Gordon has had some work, especially at the goal line, he's kind of maybe not to the same extent, but he is more of the power back as opposed to Achane as more of your explosive back. But at the same time, if something were to happen to Achane, I think you're going to still get a two-headed with Wright and Gordon, but I think Gordon would be the guy to own. I think you probably see Wright be more a little bit of the pass-catching guy as opposed to Gordon will get the early downs looks. Gordon was somebody who was a hell of a runner in college. He just, being behind Achane, he's not going to really get that opportunity.
Right. Okay, go ahead.
All right. I have a Daniel Jones on bye, so I know you highlighted Jacoby Brissett, but other guys that are out there for me are Geno Smith is playing Dallas, Marcus Mariota against Miami.
That one intrigues me. To be honest, of the two, it's probably between those two, unless you got a magic third one here.
J.J. McCarthy against Chicago. Sam Darnold's available, but he plays the Rams. So Brissett, Darnold, J.J. McCarthy, and Marcus Mariota.
I'm probably going Brissett 1, Mariota 2. I mean, what we've seen from Brissett the past couple of weeks, he's been a top 12 quarterback the past 4 weeks. He's got 2 touchdowns in all 4 games. And the Cardinals all of a sudden have a life. Like if you were somebody that owns Trey McBride or Marvin Harrison Jr., you are absolutely loving this. This is kind of living up to their draft status. Didn't think he would take the backup quarterback to get to this point. But of those matchups there, he's going Brissett 1, then Mariota 2. I do like Mariota's matchup against the Dolphins, but I believe they are the international game this week. And we've talked about it in the past. I think those games kind of worry me a little bit just because of the long flight and all that. So if you have a Jacoby Brissett available, he's the guy I would go after. And I think that's something we know for now that Kyler's on IR that he's not looking over his shoulder. So it's Brissett moving forward. And as long as he's thrown to those 2 main guys, there are no complaints in fantasy circles.
Everything else? Anything else that we should have our eyes on?
For people that are streaming defenses, are we really starting the Cowboys defense this week? They're playing Vegas.
I know they're playing Vegas, but at the same time, it's still the Cowboys defense. So no.
Okay.
No, there's plenty of other options out there before I go down to that rabbit hole of how bad that they've been this year. So no, I am avoiding the Cowboys unless you're talking about CD and Dak Prescott.
Okay.
Javonte Williams.
I have the Seahawks defense. Like they've been the best defense, but they are playing the Rams this week. So should I just stick it out and ride with Seattle?
No, not with how good the Rams have been. That offense is just out of world right now. I mean, Matthew Stafford's on a heater, and if he's not the MVP favorite right now, I don't know what's going on out there. What's he got? Four straight games or 3 straight games with 4 touchdowns, something like that.
It's nuts.
Yeah, so I don't expect that to. Granted, yes, Seattle's defense is probably better than some of the defenses he's gone up against, but I think Stafford right now is just playing at an elite level. It doesn't matter who he's going against. So if you could find a better matchup there, let's say I would even take, let's say, the Commanders defense over the Dolphins or something along those lines as opposed to sticking it out with Seattle.
Ravens play Cleveland and the Falcons play. This is a fantasy football segment.
Yeah,
Where do you
it's Griffin's fantasy football segment.
I let you talk for a while.
I was asking more generic questions. Go ahead.
Well, this could help other people.
Maybe.
Ravens play the Browns and the Falcons play the Panthers. Those are the other 2 top defenses.
I do like the Ravens defense a lot this week. I mean, let's face it, the Browns offense is dreadful. The only person on that team you want right now is Judkins, and I'm a Judkins owner, and I'm feeling a little iffy about playing him this week just because of how, I mean, the situation with Dylan Gabriel is just getting worse and worse each week. So I would play the Ravens. Probably expect, since the rookie quarterback, a couple turnovers here now that the Ravens defense is kind of showing life now. So yeah, I would definitely go with the Ravens in that.
Sir?
I think that's everything.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
Joe Serpico.
Of course.
At Joe Serpico on Twitter. That's how you follow. At Joe Serp is how you follow him. PressBoxOnline.com is where you see all of his stuff. Joe, look forward to next Tuesday. Maybe I'll even just duck out. Maybe I'll go take a walk during this segment or something. Appreciate you, pal. Let's talk again next week, all right?
Absolutely, guys. You guys take care.
That's Joe Serpico, PressBox fantasy football analyst, with us here on GCR as he is every Tuesday in order to preview Waiver-Wire Wednesday. All right, let's go over 5 plays. The 5 plays that told the story of the Ravens win over the Vikings. It's brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel, the best place to watch UFC 322. That's what we decided it was?
Yeah.
It's Makachev and Deladon.
Yeah,
Elena Deladon.
Elena Deladon's fighting the pound for pound.
Magna Carta.
Closer.
What is it?
Also, Jack Della Maddalena.
Della Maddalena.
Yes,
that's
and Islam Makhachev.
I knew that part. I got that part.
Also, Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili.
There you go. Watch it. Don't pay for the pay-per-view. Watch it for free inside Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel. Yeah. Oh, Brian Powell's off the Blame Glenn hashtag and now is onto the Always Blame Griffin hashtag for hijacking a segment.
Hijacking a segment? These were generic questions that don't benefit anyone.
No, they're pretty specific questions.
Other people have the Seahawks defense.
There's not a
other
single
people
there's
are
not
considering
a single
starting
person
the Cowboys defense.
who is debating between Keaton Mitchell, Rashad Smith, and Ollie Gordon.
Rashard Smith.
Whatever his name is.
Yes, there are.
No, there is not.
There are real
not
fantasy football players. Whatever fake leagues you're in that you
fake leagues
that you think are.
All right. A tough week because like there's a lot of plays that like you think about and then you're like, it didn't really lead to anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
My number 5 was the 4th down stop with 7:19 to play in the fourth quarter at the Ravens 13-yard line, just because they were 13 yards away. They had marched down the field and ended up having nothing to show for it with 7 minutes to play. And I get that it's tough because ultimately they did get the ball back in a one-score game, so like it didn't necessarily slam the door on them, but it was significant. This is the play that prevented the Vikings from making it a one-score game with still 7 minutes to play, and so it's number 5 on my list.
I went with I think I went with the play before that one, right? That was at the John Jenkins. You're talking about when it was. Wait, what play did you pick again?
The 4th down stop
when they were at the 13-yard line.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I picked the play right before. I don't know, just because that one required them to actually make a play. Was John Jenkins batting the pass, okay. and they had to. And it summarized the game pretty well, I think, because you weren't like it was just it was so hard for us. It's funny because we had the same 2 defensive guys on our pats on the ass, but it was just kind of any guy can make a play, and it happened to be John Jenkins here, and because on that 4th down play was just kind of McCarthy just missing his throw. And so I went with the play right before to force the 4th down, and then really put the pressure on the Vikings to have to make a play, and their young quarterback did not do that. So John Jenkins getting the pass deflection on 3rd down. Right.
My number 4 is the 4th down stop with 5:50 to play in the third quarter. That involved the Adam Thielen penalty that he lost his mind about on the sideline. I get it. Again, the Ravens not able to cash in. They get this great field position, and they turn it into 0 points. But still, it's about how the game had swung at that point. And at that point, the Ravens' defense had swung the momentum to their side, and the Vikings were kind of panicked, and they were going for it on 4th down, and they were having nothing to show for it. And they were in Ravens territory for that one. Momentum had just clearly swung. So, yeah, that was my number 4.
For my number 4, I went back and forth. I went with the play on the very final drive that the Vikings had, where they were down by 8. Like this would have been a miracle because they would have had to have gone 90 yards. But they had just picked up 25 yards on a McCarthy scramble. They completed another play right before that, and Draymond. I mean, the defense has to be gassed. Like they just were backpedaling 40 yards. 30-40 yards, and Draymond Jones got pressure on this play, and again, it's just kind of everyone did their job, and this play happened to be Draymond Jones and getting pressure on McCarthy, and he threw an incompletion, and that gave them a chance to kind of reset and end up getting a stop the next 2 plays. So I went with the forced incompletion on the final drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
My number 3. I mean, I really look. I think that there was a lot of. It was a really weird. It was not a definitive set of plays to me that told the story in this game. My number 3 was, we brought it up yesterday when we both praised Mike Green. It was the first quarter TFL that Mike Green had on Aaron Jones, where he forced a 5-yard loss, because to that point the Ravens defense had done nothing. They had been gashed on the first drive of the game, 7 plays, 86 yards, and a touchdown. They had done nothing. And I think a lot of us were like, oh no, maybe the old Ravens defense is back. And this was the first moment in the game where the defense started to sort of seize control of the game. Forced them into a serious behind-the-sticks situation at 3rd and 12. I think it ended up being a scramble that came up a couple yards short. They got off the field. This was the first moment of the game on a day where ultimately the story was the defense. This was the first defensive moment of the game. It's number 3 for me.
That's a good one. I didn't go with anything from the first half, but if you did, I think that's definitely probably the one. I went with the long Derrick Henry drive where they scored the touchdown and went up 2 scores. On 3rd and 2, where they had Lamar Jackson get to the outside, and they picked up the first down. I mean, this might have been the only 3rd down they had on that entire drive. There might have been one on. I think it was a 3rd and 1.
Wait, was this the pitch play? This was
No, this was not the pitch play. This was like Lamar kept it, and like Henry and Stanley were out lead blocking for him. You thought he might have scored, but Isaiah Rodgers made a really good tackle. They scored on the very next play. So, I mean, it was 3rd and 2, and you're in the red zone, and you're only up by 6 right now. Like, this is, you definitely don't, I mean, I guess you can take a field, you can't take a field goal there.
It's the first time that I would say definitively my choice is better.
Okay.
Yeah, definitively. The other ones I was fine with. This one,
Lamar Jackson converting that third down there with help from Henry and Stanley out lead blocking.
my number 2 was the Marlon Humphrey interception, and we can say, well, hey, it was easy because Justin Jefferson fell down, but it's still a play that had to be made, and it's the result. It's that it was 3rd and 1 from midfield on the first drive when the Vikings still had the lead.
They were like kind of driving.
Yeah. I mean, it was a dramatic change on that play, and yes, I get it. It's the easiest interception Marlon Humphrey will ever have. I mean, obviously dealing with the finger injury, factor that in. But it was still a play that was made, and it was a massive play in the game, number 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because so many of these plays I feel like are more about the Vikings than or at least
Well, but that one,
if you want to put you could put all the false starts on there,
Yeah, sure,
and
right.
and the roughing the passer that kept them in field goal range right
Yep,
at the end.
stole
of the,
3 points,
yeah,
more
at
or
the end of
less.
the half. I went with the interception as well. I mean, yeah, you can talk about the degree of difficulty for the play. Yeah, it had to be made, and why are they taking a deep shot there while they're driving? They have pretty good momentum coming out of halftime and driving. I don't know, but Marlon Humphrey made the play.
I don't know either. I don't have it for you. And number 1, of course, is Keandre Jackson.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got that one right.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. We'll get him up at glennclarkradio.com here momentarily. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you by Project Game Day. We'll be back this Sunday. Well, Game Day will be back this Sunday. I don't know if I can say we yet. They, for sure. Maybe we. We'll be back this Sunday for Project Game Day immediately following Ravens-Browns. PressBoxOnline.com/Game Day. As always, brought to you by Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills, Frederick, and Columbia. 1-800-GAMBLER. HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. The Costa Inn and Live Casino and Hotel.
Our boy Taylor Fritz unfortunately did not.
Yeah, that's about what I expected.
Did not defeat Carlos Alcaraz.
Real shame.
Alcaraz doing so did claim his 50th career ATP top 10 win, and he did so in 73 matches of top 10 matchups. That is the 3rd fastest. 73 matches.
Fastest.
2 guys did it. One in 71 matches. One in 69 matches. Reached the 50 win threshold.
Djokovic.
No.
Nadal.
Nope. Nadal tied 73 with Alcaraz, not fewer.
Federer.
No.
Sampras.
No.
Agassi.
No.
Murray. Sinner. I don't know.
One of them, I don't know anything about him, but the other.
Ilya Nastasi.
No.
Bjorn Borg.
No.
Connors.
No.
Chang.
No.
Lendl. Becker.
No.
McEnroe.
Oh, Becker. Yes, Becker.
Becker.
Yeah,
all right.
Boris Becker.
Did I say Borg? Did I guess Bjorn Borg?
Yeah, not Borg.
Stan Smith.
No.
Rod Laver.
No.
Did I say Agassi?
Oh, wow, he's really old. No, not Agassi.
Really old?
Yeah, he's currently 73.
He's currently 73. Well, that's old, but that's not like...
That's pretty old.
Man.
What did he win? He won...
He's currently 73. That means he played 50 years ago. He played in the 70s. And I haven't said him yet.
He won... Oh, no, he did not. No, he did not.
No, the Vilander was well after that. God.
16 slams.
He won 16.
Wait, no, that's not right.
No, I was going to say, there's no way that's correct.
12.
Is that Bill Tilden?
No.
Man.
Coached Andy Roddick.
He coached Andy Roddick.
And apparently Maria Sharapova for a year.
And won 12 Grand Slams.
From 74 to 83. Or 85, actually.
Is that Roy Emerson?
No.
74 to 83.
85.
To 85.
Darn, I had a really good tidbit, like a football one. This one just popped up, so I was like, yeah, I'll give it to him. But now it's taking too much time.
Who is it?
He's from California.
He's from California.
Or he lives in California.
Where is he an American?
Yeah, he's American.
I said Connors, right?
Oh, you did say Connors?
Yeah, I said Connors.
Oh, when did you say Connors?
When
it
I
is
was
Connors.
going through, yeah, okay.
It is Connors.
Yeah, Jimmy Connors.
Jimmy Connors. There you go.
Who did coach Andy Roddick. That's.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. How many slams did he win?
12.
Is that right?
I mean, I'm looking at it. Slam singles results. Australian Open once. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, he never won the French. Sorry. Why would they put this like this? They said
he didn't
won
win 12. That's
no.
crazy.
Okay, so he made the French Open semis. For some reason, they put all his semifinal appearances right next to his title appearances
Well.
with the Aussie Open, the Wimbledon, and the U.S. Open. Okay, so he won 8.
Well then.
There have been 8 players this season to hit 20 miles per hour.
On a run?
On 3 or at 3 times on a run, on a rush. At least 3 times. 6 of them.
Jameer Gibbs.
Gibbs is one of them. 6 of them have had over 125 rush attempts this year. And then there's 2 kind of random ones who did it in less
just
than
say
50
who they are.
rushes.
We're not doing that.
We are.
No, we're not doing
Who are
that.
the 6 that? Who are the 6 then that are?
And who are the others? Just say them.
No, do the.
Just say them.
No, do the 6 that are like. Have had 125 carries this year. You just got 1.
Saquon.
Yes. Gibbs, Saquon.
Taylor.
Yes.
I don't know. What else is that kind of back? Devon Achane.
Devon Achane.
Genty.
Not Genty.
Yeah. Charbonnet.
Not Charbonnet.
Bijan.
Not Bijan. Which is a little surprising. Yeah.
I'm not coming up with it.
One's an AFC East running back. One's an AFC North running back.
AFC East, one's an AFC North. Chase Brown.
Not Chase Brown.
Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry has reached 20 miles per hour 3 times this year, at least.
Okay. And AFC James Cook.
Not James Cook.
Travion Henderson. Brees Hall.
Brees Hall has reached 20 miles per hour 3 times.
Who are the
at
other
least 3
2?
times. One guy has 48 carries. He's a quarterback. Caleb Williams.
Oh, okay.
And then the other only 15 rushes this year. And he's reached 20 miles per hour on 3/15 of them, a fifth of them.
Okay.
Keaton Mitchell.
Ah, there you go. That's all this was you just trying to.
I'm not allowed to do it. I'm not allowed to give it. I'll never do a Keaton Mitchell stat again.
You could have just said it. You didn't have to.
Yes, it needed the build-up.
All right.
It's because I did the tennis thing before, so you were already pissed.
Well,
that you didn't know the tennis one.
Yeah, I mean, a little pissed about how you handled the Jimmy Connors thing.
Well, you were rattling off 18 guys.
I did do that. That part is true. I did do that, but I did say Jimmy Connors in there. All right. Here's coming up totally tubular-wise. Busy night in local college hoops. A good one. Morgan is hosting UMBC tonight at 6 o'clock, and MorganStateBears.com for that. Maryland hosts Alcorn State at 7, but it's only on Big Ten Network Plus, so you're probably not going to see it. Big Ten Network, however, will have Navy Penn State at 6:30. Loyola's at home against NJIT at 7 on ESPN Plus. Towson's at home against something called Wilson College at 7:30 on Flow Sports. Didn't even bother to put this one on Monumental. And Mount St. Mary's is on the road at St. Francis.
You don't know the Wilson Phoenix from Chambersburg, PA?
Sure. Manager of the Year announcement tonight at 7 on MLB Network. Everything else find at GlennClarkRadio.com. What do you got non-sports-wise?
There's a Golden Girls 40-year anniversary.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm watching that.
2020 doc on it's at 10, not until 10 p.m. on ABC, but it'll be on Hulu.
Sure. I'll be watching that. Anything else?
Eddie Murphy will be on Kimmel.
He's got a Netflix thing, right?
Yes. There's an Eddie Murphy documentary coming out. Tomorrow. Being Eddie tomorrow on Netflix.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'll watch that too for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Very good. Thanks today to Jeff Chadiha. Thanks to Joe Serpico and to Bo Smolka. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the
Miles Teller and Hardy on Fallon.
Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow on the program?
I think we're gonna head out to Cleveland and check in with Gerard Cherry.
Okay. 3-time Super Bowl champ. Stuff and things.
Forrester should be here.
Oh, good. Does he have to?
I think we're going to do a movie review.
Oh, that's right. We were going to do that. Did you watch it?
Not yet. I'll watch it tonight.
All right. You going to give up on Towson already?
Well,
Just because they lost to Houston?
I can't watch the game.
That's true. That's a good point. Well, you could go.
Yeah,
Thanks to everybody at PressBox. Yeah, it's an option. All of our great sponsors and partners, including Game Day Men's Health, Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, 1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org. CountySports.zone, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com, Nick's Fish House, High's Dairy Stores, and the Costas Inn. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Tuesday evening. Go all of the local hoops teams.
Go Veterans.
Oh, yeah. Happy Veterans Day. Happy birthday to my father as well.
Oh, happy
birthday, Papa Clark.
Mr. Clark.
Yeah, all right. Dukes up.